I was reborn as the villain in a polyamorous BL novel. Because I messed with the main character at every turn, I was eventually thrown into the ocean to feed the fish by his group of lovers. To change my fate, I carefully tried to get on their good side. What I didn't know was that the entire main cast had woken up to their reality. The moment I accepted a date with a girl from my department, four guys suddenly surrounded me. The main character's tone was ice cold. "Look at your brilliant idea. Take it slow," you said. Now he's so restless he's thinking about dating women. When I woke up, I was in Sam's arms again. I shifted a little, and the man just held me tighter, nuzzling my neck. His lips brushed against my earlobe, a touch that was both intimate and searing. It was hot and suggestive. I pushed him, sighing in resignation. "Sam, you're sleepwalking again." This was my 30th day in this novel, and the 10th day Sam had sleepwalked. Strangely, he only ever climbed into my bed. He'd always apologize profusely when he woke up, only to do it all over again the next night. I was almost used to it. Sam mumbled, still half asleep, "Babe, give me a kiss." With that, he tilted my chin up, going in for a kiss. Startled, I grabbed his hand and quickly peeked through the bed curtains. I breathed a sigh of relief when I saw no movement from our other two roommates' beds. Those other two roommates were two of the three main love interests. If they found out that Sam not only crawled into my bed every night but also tried to kiss me, their possessiveness would probably get me thrown into the sea to meet my maker way ahead of schedule. Seeing he was still asleep, I poked his arm again. He yawned and his large hand skimmed over my waist. His eyes drifted from my face down to my lips. His voice was lazy and deep. "Henry, man, I sleepwalked again." "Huh? My bad." But his expression and tone held zero apology. I covered his mouth and whispered, "Keep it down. Hurry up and get out." He was so loud, it was like he wanted everyone to know we were in the same bed. Sam sat up, his eyes downcast. "Do you not want me here, Henry?" He looked like a sad puppy, making you want to protect him. No wonder he had 3 golden boys fighting over him. As if bewitched, my heart softened for a moment. Of course not. His eyes lit up, and he pushed his luck. "Then can I just sleep with you from now on? Are you kidding me?" If I dared to say yes, his boyfriends would eat me alive. By the time I finished washing up, my roommate Chris was already back from his workout. I immediately glanced at the bed. Sam was already back in his own spot. Chris was the first love interest in the book and also Sam's childhood friend. Chris casually took off his shirt and placed breakfast on Sam's desk. Here. It was Sam's favorite, something you had to go to a shop 2 miles off campus to buy. This was one of those details from the original novel that made readers swoon. The childhood friend, the caretaker boyfriend who looked after Sam's every need, spoiling him rotten. With a shipper's grin on my face, I tried to suck up to Chris. "Chris, you're a beast, working out every day without fail. You could do laundry on those abs." I didn't expect a response to my over-the-top praise. After all, a key trait of the caretaker boyfriend is only having eyes for his partner. Ever since I got here, I'd been complimenting him daily, and he'd usually just give a cool, detached nod. But, clever as I am, I had a strategy. If I could just get on the good side of everyone in the main group, then when the story ended and the 4 of them were living happily ever after, surely they wouldn't still toss me into the ocean, right? "You want to touch them?" Chris asked suddenly. I was drinking water and choked, staring at him in disbelief. What the hell? This isn't how the script is supposed to go. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Sam look up, his gaze fixed on me. I suddenly felt flustered. Did I hear him right? He was asking me to touch him? To touch them? Sam let out a small laugh, but there was no humor in his expression. "If you want to, then do it. Why are you looking at me?" While I was panicking, a wall of a person moved closer. Chris looked down, took my left hand, and pressed my palm against his abs. His skin was still slick with sweat from his workout, and the heat made me flinch. The texture, the definition. Even as a guy, my heart was racing and my face flushed. I snapped back to reality and jumped back, only to bump right into Sam, who had come up behind me. His face was dark as he wrapped an arm around my waist from behind, a smile that didn't reach his eyes on his face. Are they really that nice to touch? Oh, crap. Sam was jealous. Good lord, I was panicking even more. Sam couldn't possibly think I was hitting on Chris to ruin their relationship. Could he? I shook my head, then nodded. It was a no-win question. But then Chris suddenly pulled me out of Sam's arms and shielded me behind him. His tone sounded almost smug. If they weren't, would Henry be blushing? Sam's face went completely cold. He stared at the hand I had used to touch Chris, his eyes dark and unreadable. My major is different from the guys in my dorm, so I used the excuse of having a class and fled the chaotic scene. On the way, I kept replaying everything that had happened since I arrived here. Something felt off, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was. Whatever. If I could figure out the main character's drama, I'd be a main character myself. Don't overthink it. Just focus on surviving. I was munching on a bun while checking my classroom location when a Harley suddenly sped around the corner and knocked me down. My elbow and knee were instantly scraped and bleeding. The Harley's rider skidded to a stop about 15 feet away. Dude, what the hell? Watch where you're going on your phone, you idiot. He was still cussing, but when he saw it was me on the ground, he ripped off his helmet, his expression turning to panic. Shit. Henry, it's you. I looked up through the pain. It was my other roommate, the second love interest, Zayn, who I'd only seen a couple of times since I got here. He was a jock who loved racing and extreme sports, all brawn, no brains. In the original book, his simple-mindedness often got him outsmarted by the other two love interests, which was kind of dorky and cute. But right now, I couldn't appreciate his dorkiness. The wounds were stinging, and though I was frustrated and in pain, I didn't dare show it. Because the guy who stuffs me in a sack and throws me to the fish at the end of the story is the very same person in front of me now. I winced in pain but still remembered to suck up to the main cast. I'm fine, just a scratch, I said, trying to be tough. Zayn's brow was furrowed tight. Without another word, he scooped me up and headed straight for the school clinic. In 2 lifetimes, this was the first time I, a grown man, had been carried princess style. We drew plenty of stairs on the way. Doctor, help! My buddy's dying of pain here, Zayn yelled as he burst into the clinic. I quietly buried my head in his chest, feeling a little embarrassed. In the treatment room, the school doctor gave us some ointment and went to tend to other things. I sat on a chair, about to apply it myself, when Zayn snatched the medicine away. He scowled. I'll do it for you. I was taken aback and awkwardly waved my hands, trying to refuse. When he didn't react, I had to accept. Okay then, thanks. Zayn nodded, his brow still knitted tightly, not moving a muscle. He was the most impatient and physically strongest character in the book. Thinking that I was also at fault for not watching where I was going, my heart pounded. Was he annoyed that I'd gotten in his way? Just as I was thinking I should insist on applying the medicine myself, Zayn spoke. Damn, Henry, your legs are so fucking pale. And so skinny. I don't even know how hard to press. He crouched down, his eyes level with mine. Shit. I'm seriously afraid I'll break you just putting this on. Dude. I was mortified and angry, glaring at him. I'll do it myself. He grabbed my hand, looking anxious. I wasn't telling you to do it. Can't I just make an observation? With that, he picked up a cotton swab and, staring intently at my leg, began to apply the medicine with extreme care. He stared so hard I started to feel a little self-conscious. Zayn might be reckless, but he didn't seem like a bad guy. He said that because he hit me, he would cover my meals for the next month. I was ecstatic. The character I inherited was a poor college student, his wallet as empty as his face. This also explained why the original character hated Sam and constantly picked on him. It was because Sam had a similar profile, not from a wealthy family with a clean-cut look, but Sam had a rich childhood friend, Chris. On top of that, Sam became a campus heartthrob in college, attracting not only the 3 main love interests but also countless other admirers. The original character was green with envy. When I read the book, I also wondered why the love interests didn't like my character, Henry. It wasn't until I arrived and saw Sam that I understood. He wasn't just handsome, his features were so delicate he barely looked real, not to mention he was nearly as tall as the love interests. Then I looked at my character's body. Scrawny, barely 5'9", standing next to the main group like a little servant. Yeah, I wouldn't be into me either. I was carried to the cafeteria, tucked under Zayn's arm like a chick. Zayn told me to save a seat while he got food, but I unexpectedly ran into Sam and Chris. Sam very naturally sat down next to me with his tray, and after a brief pause, Chris sat across from me. I was flustered and awkward again. When Zayn got back, was it going to be another chaotic showdown? Zayn came rushing over happily with 2 full trays of food, only to stop short when he saw there were no seats left next to me. Chris, Sam, what are you guys doing here? Sam's eyes darkened as he watched Zayn place the tray in front of me. Taking a dump. Zayn flared up. What the hell? You can take a dump in the cafeteria? Sam rolled his eyes and shook his head. Stay away from Zayn in the future. Even if he gets better, he'll still drool. Zayn sat down. Damn it, Sam, you're such a… whatever. My little Henry is still the best. Little Henry? Bro, please don't say things like that. This show is supposed to be about the 3 of you. Why are you dragging me into it? I spat out a mouthful of rice. Chris looked at the grain that landed on his plate and his chopsticks froze. You're… little Henry? Sam had a fake smile on his face. When did you 2 get so close? This scene was overloading my CPU. I didn't know whether to apologize to Chris's rice first, tell Zayn to watch his mouth, or answer Sam's deadly question. Chris remained expressionless. After a few seconds, he calmly resumed eating as if he hadn't seen the rice I'd spit on his plate. Zayn, that idiot, didn't sense anything wrong at all. Seeing me choke so dramatically, he quickly grabbed his soup bowl and started pouring it into my mouth. Both Sam's and Chris's faces darkened simultaneously. My heart sank. No wonder you get the least action in the book. I finished the meal uncomfortably under the unavoidable gazes of the 3 of them. I was thinking I should just ask Zayn to reimburse me for the month's food money. If we kept eating together like this, I was afraid something bad would happen. And something did happen, though it had nothing to do with me. Sam and Chris were out, and someone snapped a photo of them kissing and posted it on the campus social media page. The comments section exploded. Who would have thought the 2 campus hunks were gay? Some people started shipping them, others secretly called it disgusting, and some cried about their own crushed hopes. That evening, right after I got back to the dorm and washed up, Zayn, who rarely stayed in the dorm, stormed back in. His loud voice could be heard from 3 floors away. Where's Sam? Sam, don't tell me this is real, you and Chris. Sam was at his desk playing a computer game and didn't even turn around. It's us. Zayn was shocked. Damn. You guys really kissed. There's a gay guy right here next to me. Chris calmly responded, we didn't kiss. Sam stumbled coming down the stairs, and I caught him. That photo was just a tricky angle. Maybe it was my imagination, but when Chris explained, he specifically glanced at me, as if he was afraid I would misunderstand. I shook my head. You're getting conceited, Henry. Why would he need to explain anything to you? Zayn's family business relied heavily on support from Chris's family, so at school, Zayn was much more respectful towards Chris. Hearing Chris's explanation, Zayn's gossip-mongering subsided. Just as he was lazily getting ready to play a game, he heard Sam laugh. But I do like guys. Zayn's eyes went wide as saucers, and he immediately jumped 3 feet away from Sam. Holy crap, Sam. Don't mess with me. You're gay. Shit. He seemed to think of something and hugged himself tightly. Don't you dare get any ideas about me. Something's not right. In the original book, was Zayn this hostile towards Sam at the beginning? I don't remember this at all. Sam's cool gaze landed on Zayn. I'm gay, not a dumb dog. I don't eat shit. Zayn's head was about to explode. Damn it. If it weren't for Chris, I'd kick your ass. And you're gay too. So disgusting. That was a bit harsh and also pretty ironic. After all, this was a BL novel. Zayn was really digging his own grave on the road to winning Sam over. To prevent him from regretting it later, I couldn't help but speak up. Being gay is just a different sexual orientation. What's disgusting about it? It's like some people like apples and some like bananas. You can't just say people who like bananas are perverts because you like apples. Besides, I added in a small voice, until you meet your true love, who knows if you really like men or women. But Zayn just stood there, looking hurt. Little Henry, I'm buying your meals for a month, and you're not even going to back me up. With that, the rich kid stormed out, looking furious. So much drama. Zayn disappeared somewhere, after swearing just yesterday that he'd apply medicine for me every day. Not that I took it seriously anyway. I quickly put the ointment on myself and got ready for bed. But when Chris saw me, his usually expressionless face creased into a rare frown. Zayn did that? I paused, then nodded. He looked intently at my wound for a moment, then said nothing and walked out with his phone. So weird. Perhaps because so much had happened today, and on top of that I was injured, I felt sleepy the moment my head hit the pillow and was out like a light. In the middle of the night, it felt like a large heater pressed up against my back. In the middle of summer, it made me sweat, but I just couldn't wake up. It wasn't until my internal clock woke me. 6 in the morning, my bed, in Sam's arms. I'm tired. I'm really tired. I couldn't even be bothered to wake him anymore. I quietly got out of bed, planning to wash up and go straight to class. But as I grabbed the railing with my left hand, it suddenly felt weak, and I almost fell. My heart pounded with residual fear, which quickly turned to anger. Damn it, this is my bed, but I'm the one sneaking around like a thief. I was also annoyed. How did I sleep so badly that my left hand ended up this sore and tired? Damn it, Sam must have been lying on my hand while he was sleeping. Fuming, after washing up, I gave the still sleeping Sam a weak glare and headed to the cafeteria for breakfast. I'd just taken a couple of bites when there was a commotion at the cafeteria entrance, and a huge crowd of people flooded in. The most conspicuous among them was the towering Zayn. It turned out the student athletes were done with their morning training and had come for breakfast. Zayn, who had been looking listless, suddenly perked up like a puppy seeing its owner when he spotted me. He yelled my name and rushed over. Henry, little Henry, why didn't you tell me you were coming to the cafeteria? It's my treat, remember? I said I'd cover your meals. Dude, you didn't even come back to the dorm last night. How could I have asked you for food? I gave an awkward laugh. No, it's fine. His brow furrowed. Are you looking down on me? With that, he took my porridge. I'll buy you a new one. You have to eat what I buy. Zayn stormed towards the main food counter like a bandit. He attracted a lot of attention, with curious glances darting between him and me. Zayn's classmates saw him carrying 2 trays and started teasing him. Yo, Zayn, who's the food for? Probably for his little wifey. Zayn the bandit kicked one of them. Get lost, you creeps. We're just bros, don't get in the way of my meal. His classmates snickered and sat down near us with their trays, occasionally glancing my way. Zayn was completely oblivious, acting like we were best buds. When he saw me picking out the carrot shreds, the rich kid actually picked them up with his chopsticks and ate them himself. He had none of the usual fussiness or disgust of other wealthy heirs. Little Henry, you can't be so picky. No wonder you're so skinny, he mumbled as he chewed. I forced a laugh, suddenly thinking that a month of free meals might not be worth it. After what Zayn considered a pleasant meal, I turned to head to the academic building, but he grabbed me. I have a class too, I'll take you, but I only have my bike. It's so fucking unlucky. My dad took all my motorcycles away last night, said something about me needing to behave. Shit, when have I ever not behaved? He grumbled, and before I could react, he had me on the back of his bicycle. Zayn lived up to his student-athlete reputation. With his strength, he made even a small bicycle feel like it was flying. A thought crossed my mind. It was a good thing his motorcycles were confiscated. Otherwise, at his speed, I'd probably be launched into the sky from the back seat. After class in the evening, I ran into Chris. It was rare to see him not with Sam. As if sensing my confusion, Chris explained that Sam had a competition and had gone for some last-minute training. I hadn't interacted much with Chris, and he was usually a man of few words, so after that brief exchange, we fell into silence. When we reached the intersection near the academic building, I put on a warm, fake smile. I have a lecture to attend tonight for extra credit, so I'll go straight to the cafeteria and won't be heading back to the dorm just yet. Chris, who had already started walking towards the dorm, abruptly turned around upon hearing my words. "Let's go together then." "What?" My fake smile froze. He looked at me calmly. "Let's go to the cafeteria together, and then to the lecture together." Chris always spoke in a calm, cool tone that somehow didn't allow for refusal, making people subconsciously obey. I suspected Chris's family had a no talking during meals rule. The entire dinner was exceptionally quiet, a complete opposite of eating with Zayn. Whenever I tried to start a conversation to ease my own awkwardness, he would put down his chopsticks and look at me intently while I spoke. With that kind of pressure, how could I dare say anything? I just buried my head in my food and pretended he wasn't there. I couldn't help but remember the last time I spat out my food. It was truly a testament to Chris's good upbringing that he could continue eating so calmly without getting mad at me. On the way to the lecture, I thought we'd be silent the whole way again. But Chris suddenly spoke up. "You and Sam seem to be getting along well lately?" In a flash, Chris's behavior tonight made perfect sense. So he was here to warn me. The possessive, caretaker-type love interest was here to warn off and drive away anyone around his partner who looked like a potential rival. I sighed to myself, a helpless smile on my face. "Chris, you've got the wrong guy. This villainous side character has already turned over a new leaf. You should be worried about Zayn. I just helped him pick up a few packages and takeout orders. We're not that close." I breathed a sigh of relief internally, so my tone became more relaxed and natural. "You two are the closest. I get it." "What?" He pursed his lips and said nothing, falling back into silence. I thought for a moment and remembered Sam's condition. I figured I should probably tell Chris, since he was going to be Sam's main partner in the future. Doing him this favor might save my life one day. I started diplomatically. "Sam doesn't seem to be feeling well recently. Maybe you should take him to the hospital for a checkup one of these days." As expected, Chris's expression turned serious. "What's wrong with him?" "He seems to be under a lot of mental stress. I woke up one night to go to the bathroom and saw him sleepwalking." "Sleepwalking?" He frowned. "What was he doing?" I didn't dare say what he was doing. I stammered, "Just walking around the room. Anyway, you should probably take him to see a doctor." Chris's brow furrowed. After a moment, he suddenly stopped walking. "He got into your bed, didn't he?" My eyes widened. How did he guess that? I shook my head like a bobblehead, denying it vehemently. Chris stared straight at me, as if trying to see right through me. Just as I was regretting my big mouth, he finally looked away. "All right, I'll take him." I had randomly signed up for this lecture just to get the course credit, but when the man in the suit walked onto the stage, he looked vaguely familiar. It wasn't until I saw the name on the PowerPoint slide, Julian, that I remembered. He was the third love interest from the book, the one who shows up late. He looked dapper and respectable, but he was actually the most manipulative and twisted one in the book. Tying people up and locking them away were his specialties. Thinking about this made me a little afraid of Julian. Unlike student characters like Chris and Zayn, he was a well-known business leader, an elite socialite. His mind games and methods were on a whole different level. But because Chris and I were sitting in the front row, Julian kept interacting with our row during his speech. And I don't know if it was just my imagination, but Julian's gaze often fell on me, followed by a gentle smile. The moment the lecture ended, I didn't want to stay a second longer. I stood up to leave, but then a voice came over the auditorium's sound system. "Henry, could you stay for a moment?" I was stunned. On stage, Julian, surrounded by a group of school administrators, was smiling at me. Chris frowned slightly, subtly blocking Julian's line of sight. We were led by Julian's assistant to a lounge on the side of the stage. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Henry," Julian said a short while later, having left the school officials to come over alone. "Thank you so much for last time. If it weren't for you, the company would have lost some very valuable data." His words jogged my memory. It was my second day after I'd transmigrated. I was at the campus coffee shop getting coffee for Sam when I saw someone had left their laptop bag behind. I immediately grabbed it and chased after them. It had been left by Julian's assistant. At the time, Julian was sitting in the back of the car. His eyes met mine, and he smiled gently, thanking me. He even offered me a reward, which I declined. So, I had already met love interest number 3 right after arriving in this world. I just didn't know it. Meeting him again, Julian was still gentle and polite. His words and actions made people feel very comfortable. When he learned that I was about to be a senior looking for an internship, he immediately told his assistant to arrange a position for me. I was completely flattered. This couldn't be right. According to the novel's timeline, shouldn't he be busy trying to threaten and entice Sam, whom he'd fallen for at first sight? Why was he being so friendly to a minor character like me? Before I could figure out what was off, Julian suddenly raised his hand and rested it on my shoulder. However, I'm not familiar with the campus, and my assistant has to get back to the office. Could I trouble you to walk me to the school gate? My car is parked there. No. Before I could speak, Chris answered for me coldly. You can ask one of the auditorium security guards to walk you. Julian's expression didn't change. He hadn't given Chris a single glance the entire time, just smiled and waited for my reply. Chris also looked at me. But you can't bite the hand that feeds you, especially when that hand just gave me a spot at a top-tier company. I bit my lip and said, Chris, you go back to the dorm. I'll walk Julian to the gate. Julian's smile deepened. Thank you for the trouble, Henry. Chris suddenly squeezed between me and Julian, putting an arm around my shoulder and separating us. Then I'll go with you to see Julian out. After the lecture, Julian would often text me to check in on my daily life and ask about my studies. He was so gentle and kind, like a big brother from next door, that my initial stereotypical impression of him changed drastically. Meanwhile, it seemed Chris really did take Sam to the doctor, because a few days later, Sam stopped sleepwalking. That doctor must be incredible, curing him in just a few days. But after that, Sam's gaze on me was always intense and full of meaning, like he was cooking up some mischief, which was pretty creepy. And I noticed that Chris and Sam seemed to be fighting. The most obvious sign was that Chris no longer followed Sam around, let alone did his laundry or bought him food. Whenever Chris spoke, Sam would reply with some sarcastic comment. I'll never understand the games these couples play. In comparison, only Zayn remained his usual self, hot-tempered and kind of an idiot. Sam was away for a competition, Chris had to take a few days off for a family matter, and Zayn's whereabouts were always unpredictable. So I had the dorm to myself for a few days. It was awesome. Thinking I was all alone, I walked out of the shower without a care in the world. But I never expected that just as I was humming a tune and rummaging through my closet for underwear, the door was kicked open with a bang. Damn. These last 2 days of training have been killing me. Zayn, who had suddenly appeared at the door, stopped mid-sentence when he saw my naked body, his eyes wide. The sound of the door being kicked startled me, and I grabbed some clothes to cover myself. My voice was a mix of anger and panic. Zayn, why didn't you say you were coming back? Zayn snapped out of it, a blush creeping up from his neck to his ears, and finally spreading across his forehead. He looked like he'd been boiled. He cleared his throat twice. Henry, why are you running around naked in the dorm? I quickly pulled on my pants and shirt. I wasn't. I just forgot to bring my clothes into the bathroom. Silence fell in the room, but Zayn kept stealing glances at me, making my skin crawl. He suddenly said, Right, your knee. I'll put some medicine on it for you. With that, he walked right up to me. Before I could react, he was already crouching in front of me, his hand on my ankle. His palm was scorching hot. The moment it touched my skin, my leg flinched instinctively, but he held it tight, and I couldn't pull away. He moved even closer, his voice growing hoarse. Don't move. Where's the medicine? I'll put it on for you. I tried to pull my leg back. That was days ago. It's already scabbed over. It doesn't need any medicine. Zayn pursed his lips, his gaze landing on my collarbone. After a long moment, he said blankly, Oh, okay. His tone sounded almost disappointed. Once he let go, I scrambled onto my bed. Shielded by the curtain, I let out an unconscious sigh of relief. Zayn started acting weird, too. He used to barely ever be in the dorm, but now he was staying there every day. A guy who always skipped required classes and aced his electives was now attending general education courses with me. One day after class, he was unusually quiet as we ate in the cafeteria. Back at the dorm, I was leaning back in my chair, about to play a game before taking a nap, when he walked up to me, his tall frame casting a shadow over me. I looked up, confused. "What's up?" He looked like he was psyching himself up for something, took a deep breath, and slowly placed his hand on the back of my neck. "Little Henry, I need to confirm something. Can you help me?" I blinked. "How can I help?" He whispered, "Don't move." The next moment, he lowered his head and pressed his lips against mine, stealing my breath away. I was stunned, my whole body frozen for a few seconds. What the hell is he doing? Is he insane? I struggled to push him away, but he held the back of my head with one hand and pinned both of my wrists behind my back with the other, pressing me against the desk. The kiss, which started as a gentle exploration, quickly erupted into a fierce, devouring assault. I was suffocating, making muffled whimpering sounds as tears welled up in my eyes. Shit, am I going to be the first person in history to die from kissing-induced asphyxiation? The dorm room door was suddenly pushed open, but when my two saviors saw what Zayn and I were doing, their faces simultaneously darkened. Zayn's assault was forced to a halt. He licked his lips, looking unsatisfied. He glanced impatiently at Sam and Chris. "TSK, you two have great timing." Sam tossed his backpack aside and, with a grim face, yanked Zayn away from me. "Zayn, don't tell me you're gay." Zayn touched his lips and suddenly grinned. "Yeah, I just confirmed it. I'm gay too. So I've decided I'm going to pursue little Henry." It was like a bolt from the blue. I stared at Zayn in shock. "Wait, pursue who?" While I was still reeling, Sam laughed, devoid of any emotion. "Then let's have a fair competition." "What the hell? Compete for what? For me?" I was freaking out. What is wrong with this world? Aren't I the villain? Why do I feel like I've suddenly become the main character? Has this world completely fallen apart? I'm just an ordinary male college student who, after staying up all night reading a novel, somehow transmigrated into it. Now, something even more bizarre has happened. The main character and his love interests haven't fallen for each other. Because they've all freaking fallen for me. Oh my God. How did this happen? And what's more, our dorm has fallen into a strangely harmonious state. For instance, we all go to class together, eat at the cafeteria together, and they even sit in on my major specific classes with me. I've become a weird spectacle on campus. "Little Henry, I bought a new game console. Let's go to my place tonight and play. Get lost." Henry doesn't like video games. "We're gonna play board games tonight." I didn't want to go with either of them. My head was just buzzing. Chris calmly interrupted them. "Henry, those questions you asked me about this morning, I'll go over them with you at the library tonight." Did I ask him about any questions? Couldn't remember. I've been so busy these days. But if it meant getting away from Zayn and Sam, I eagerly nodded in agreement. As a result, that evening, the four of us showed up at the library, neat as a pin. "Help me. Can someone transmigrate in and take over for a couple of episodes? I'm just a poor, helpless, fragile college student, and I'm terrified." I racked my brain but couldn't figure out why things had turned out this way. Was it just because I didn't follow the villain's self-destructive path? But is it wrong to want to live? I pondered this, gritting my teeth, my face a mask of grief, and then I heard Chris say, "Is listening to me explain these problems that painful?" I snapped back to reality and coughed awkwardly. "No, I just really have to pee. I'm gonna go to the restroom." I went to the bathroom to relieve myself and was thinking about how to empty the water out of my brain too. Chris followed me in, staring at me intently. A bad feeling rose in my gut. "What way?" His voice was low but very serious. "Be with me. Be with me." My vision went black. Seriously, what kind of terrible idea was that? Reject him. A straight, unequivocal rejection. Even though they were all handsome, totally my type, and looked like they could cook. But I'm afraid of dying. I started to figure it out. This must be the world's alternate way of trying to kill me, and I'm not falling for it. I decided to avoid them. "Henry," my assistant booked a table at the private kitchen downstairs for lunch. "Come with me. Julian looked up from his financial reports, a faint smile on his face. I paused, feeling awkward and embarrassed. Thanks, Julian, but I think I'll pass. I've already ordered takeout. I hadn't actually ordered anything, but what kind of employee wants to eat with their boss, especially when I'm just a lowly intern? That's right. Before summer break even started, I chose to start my internship at Julian's company early and moved into the company dorms. The intense gazes from the other three and their clinginess were becoming a real pain in the ass. This world had gone crazy, and I had to stay sane. So I chose Julian, who currently seemed the most normal. Maybe because Julian had less contact with the other three guys, he'd always been friendly to me, this minor NPC, and his character hadn't collapsed yet. Hearing my refusal, Julian's expression didn't show any displeasure. He kept his smile, but his tone was light. Is that so? Well, that's a shame. I gave a sheepish smile, backed out of his office, and sat at the workstation closest to his door to order my food. My major in college was management, a pretty useless degree, so now as an intern, I was just doing odd jobs in the general manager's office. At noon, I went downstairs to get my takeout, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I called the delivery guy, and he insisted he had delivered it. After searching everywhere to no avail, I started getting angry. You've got to be kidding me. Even in a high-end company like this, people steal food. Just as I was fuming, a gentle voice came from beside me. Henry, haven't you gone to lunch yet? I turned to see Julian. I lowered my head. My takeout got stolen. How could it be stolen? Alex, go to the security office and have them check the cameras. No, that's not necessary. I quickly stopped his assistant, Alex. I was just a lowly intern. How could I trouble the CEO's assistant over my lunch? Thank you for your concern, Julian. I'll just grab a bowl of noodles from 7-Eleven. Julian smiled. My reservation at the private kitchen hasn't been canceled yet. Since your food is gone, you might as well join me. Or is it, he added, that you young people look down on eating with an old guy like me? His words completely blocked the refusal that was about to leave my lips. I hesitated for a moment, then followed him. Even though Julian was a total psycho towards Sam in the book, he seemed like a pretty decent guy based on our work interactions. He would even bring me to important press conferences and cocktail parties, clearly valuing me. To prove my usefulness, whenever his assistant, Alex, stepped forward to take a drink for Julian, I would also eagerly jump in to help. As a result, most of the alcohol ended up in my stomach. By the time the party was over, my head was spinning. I saw 3 or 4 blurry images of Julian and said goodbye to all of them. Julian just smiled and said okay, but then he lifted me into the back seat of his car. The driver tactfully raised the privacy partition and drove towards Julian's apartment near the company. Julian, this isn't the dorm, I mumbled, looking at the completely unfamiliar interior, wanting to leave. He placed me in the bathtub, his voice gentle. Henry, you can only go back to the dorm after you've had a bath. A bath? Okay, I want a bath. I weakly raised my hands and slowly lifted my shirt. Julian's lips curled into a smile, his voice a low, seductive whisper. I need a bath too. Can you help me, Henry? How? Do I help? My eyes were glazed over. Unbutton my shirt here. I nodded slowly, my hands reaching for him. Julian's eyes darkened, his hand stroking the top of my head. Such a good boy. I'm just an ordinary male college student who, after staying up all night reading some smutty novels, suddenly transmigrated. But that's not the scariest part. The scariest part is waking up in my boss's bed. How did this happen? I scrambled out of the bedroom, only to stop dead in my tracks. At the dining table, Julian was dressed casually, leaning back in a chair, sipping coffee while scrolling through his iPad. Seeing me, a gentle smile touched his lips. You're awake? Come have breakfast. I was wearing his oversized pajamas, and a faint woody scent wafted from the fabric, enveloping me as if I were in his arms. I suddenly felt incredibly awkward. Julian, last night It's all right, he said, adjusting his half-frame glasses. It's normal for young people to be a bit enthusiastic. My memory was a complete blank, and my heart was pounding with anxiety. Julian, it's the weekend. I won't disturb you any longer. I'll head back to the dorm now. Wait. Julian stood up and walked slowly towards me, his tone laced with a hint of helplessness. Have you forgotten what you said to me last night? Henry? What did I say? He stopped in front of me, leaned down, and smiled. You confessed your love to me. You said you liked me and wanted me to be your boyfriend. You even clung to me, demanding kisses and hugs. I gasped in disbelief. How is that possible? He wrapped an arm around my waist, took out his phone with the other hand, and opened the voice recorder. Luckily, I like to keep evidence. If you can't remember Henry, then let's listen to it ourselves. Your heartfelt confession. As he pressed play, a drunken, cat-like, seductive mumble filled the air, reciting one blush-worthy confession after another. The voice was definitely mine. My mind went completely blank. How could this be? While I was stunned, Julian pulled me into his arms. I've already accepted your confession. So you're mine now. Don't even think about leaving. I somehow ended up in a relationship with Julian. Despite my repeated attempts, both subtle and direct, to explain that drunk words shouldn't be taken seriously, Julian wouldn't listen. Julian gently stroked the back of my neck and placed a kiss on the corner of my lips. I told you, don't even think about leaving me. But you just don't listen. Honey, you only need to think about me. Crazy. They're all crazy. The imprisonment that was supposed to happen to Sam, how did it end up happening to me? I cried, I went on a hunger strike, I pretended to be weak. But Julian always had terrifying ways to make me submit. After being locked up for a month, thanks to my constant submission, flattery, and pleading, he finally allowed me to go out. It was terrifying. The moment I was free, I ran straight to the university. I planned to grab my ID and pack some things, then leave the city for a while. I hoped that by staying away from everyone in the main cast, the novel's world order would return to normal. Not long after I entered the campus gates, I happened to run into a younger female student moving materials for a campus event. She blushed and called out to me, "Senior, can you help me move this? The others in the club are busy with other things." Thinking it wasn't far and this girl looked so frail, I decided to help. It shouldn't take too much time. After we moved the materials to the activity room, I was about to leave when the girl stopped me again, thanking me profusely. I was waving my hands saying it was nothing when she suddenly blushed and asked in a low voice, "Senior, do you have a girlfriend?" I froze for a moment, thinking of Julian, who was technically my forcibly acknowledged boyfriend. So I shook my head. No girlfriend. Her face turned even redder, and her voice trembled with nervousness. "Senior, actually, I've liked you for a long time. I wasn't going to say anything now, but I'm afraid I won't see you after you graduate and start your internship. So, can I be your girlfriend?" She kept her head down, not daring to look at me, and my face turned red as she spoke. The girl was sweet and cute, but in my current situation, I couldn't drag her into this mess. Before I could get out my carefully prepared rejection, the door to the next activity room suddenly opened. Sam's eyes darted between me and the girl, and he let out a cold snort. Zayn directly grabbed my arm and started walking away. Chris said to the girl with a blank expression, "Sorry, we need to talk to Henry about something. You don't have to wait for his answer." The girl stood there, stunned, watching as the three of them dragged me away. Inside the dorm, I was cornered step by step. Sam stood with his arms crossed, his tone ice cold. "Look at your brilliant ideas. Let him relax at the tan guy's company for a few days. Don't push him too hard." And what's the result? Now he's thinking about getting a girlfriend. For once, Zayn didn't argue with Sam, agreeing with an annoyed look. "I said it before, which one of our family companies couldn't give him an internship? Why did he need that Julian? And you guys had to stop me. That bastard Tan even hid our little Henry away. He's such a damn jerk." Chris, looking calm, methodically locked the door and drew the curtains. "It was my mistake. To show my apology, this time you guys can go first." Panicked. Reading the novel was one thing, but actually being a character in it, I felt like I was going to die in this bed. I tried to look weak and pitiful, appealing to their conscience. "Don't. Look at me seriously. I'm just an overconfident average guy. How could I possibly be worthy of you? My appeal failed. They got closer and closer. Oh, shift. Sam wrapped his arms around my waist, his expression one of immense grievance. How could you do this to me? Do you know how much I had to mentally prepare myself to accept that there were others besides me in your life? How could you just run off with that Julian? He kissed my earlobe and collarbone, his breath on my skin sending shivers down my spine. Zayn was jumping up and down beside us, anxious. You dog Sam. Hurry up and kiss him. Or move over and give me some space. I want to kiss him too. I was trapped against the wall, attacked from the front and back, surrounded by men on all sides, on the verge of tears. Suddenly, there was a knock on the dorm room door. Alex's emotionless voice came through. Mr. Henry, Julian asked me to inform you that it's time to come home. He is waiting for you for dinner. Zayn yelled impatiently. Get lost. Henry's not going. The voice outside fell silent for a moment. The next second, there was a click from the lock, and the door opened. Alex truly lived up to his role as the all-powerful CEO's assistant from the novel. I don't know what he did, but after a phone call, the three guys who had been fiercely blocking my way reluctantly let me be taken away. After all that effort, I ended up back with Julian. After a punishment I'd rather not recall, I was locked up in the villa. Comparing the four of them, Julian was the most terrifying. He always wore a calm, gentle expression while doing the most ruthless things. I was starting to give in. As long as I didn't try to run away or think about going out, Julian treated me incredibly well. But when a person is confined for too long, their social skills start to degrade. To put it another way, I could be in a relationship with him, but I couldn't become a pet with no human rights. But Julian wouldn't listen to any of that. What he wanted was absolute obedience. So I spent every day plotting my escape. Finally, an opportunity arose one day. Julian was abroad on business, and the villa next door caught fire. In the midst of the chaos, Sam appeared. My eyes went wide. He sped away with me in his car, explaining, "Where do you think this fire came from? You started it?" "Yeah, it's my brother's house I burned." I had only recently found out that Sam was the long-lost young master of a wealthy family, having just been reunited with them. But this identity was never mentioned in the original book. I didn't know if this was because the plot had already gone off the rails. "Let's elope," Sam said, his eyes filled with a crazed joy. "I'll take you somewhere no one will ever find us." This was insane. I originally thought I was the villain, but now it seemed like everyone except me was a damn villain. I used the same flattery on Sam that I used on Julian. Sam trembled and squeezed my hand. "I knew it. You like me too." All the way, he fantasized about our new life, whether we should get a cat or a dog, that our new home should be near a park. I went along with everything, and then while he was buying food at a highway rest stop, I secretly climbed into a truck. I paid the driver a lot of money to take me away. A twisted romance might be exciting, but my little heart couldn't take it. It was better to run. 2 years later, on New Year's Eve, I had New Year's dinner with my coworkers from the convenience store. I strolled leisurely home. My 2 years in this small town had been peaceful, but not without its charms. Before opening the door to my rented apartment, I was still calculating how much more money I needed to save up to buy a house in this town. I was so blissfully unaware that I didn't notice the many out-of-place luxury cars parked outside my building today. The lights in the apartment were on. In the small living room, 4 men were sitting or standing. Julian, standing by the window, turned around, stubbed out his cigarette, and smiled faintly. "Honey, Happy New Year. You've had your fun for 2 years. It's time to settle down and come back." Extra, the main group's awakening perspectives. Sam's story. A month ago, Sam suddenly felt like the world was operating according to his will. For instance, he had always considered Chris a good buddy and had no romantic feelings for him. But a voice in his head kept telling him, "Chris is your lover." And there were 2 other men who were also his pursuers. Sam just found it absurd. Lover, my ass. The thought of hugging and kissing Chris, of being with 3 men at the same time, and him being the one on the bottom, was more repulsive than eating shit. On the other hand, Henry, The roommate who was always passive-aggressive and secretly tried to cause trouble but never succeeded, was a bit interesting to him. But now, the voice in his head was gone, and he could control his own body and words. He felt the world was finally normal, and he had found a new source of entertainment, teasing Henry, who had suddenly stopped causing trouble for him. He would run errands if asked, do whatever he was told, and even when Sam intentionally initiated physical contact, he would just timidly endure it. It was incredibly interesting. As he kept teasing him, Sam discovered something even more interesting. When he kissed and hugged Henry, the way he dodged and blushed was really cute. As Sam pretended to sleepwalk and held Henry, he thought, yeah, even if I'm really gay, it's only fun if it's with someone I actually like. Chris's story. He had willingly been good to him, willingly followed him around, being his good brother. Until one day his mind suddenly went blank. It was as if a giant rock that had been weighing on his mind was suddenly removed, and his whole body felt light. And when he saw Sam again, the involuntary impulse in his body seemed to be gone. Instead, it was Henry, the guy in the dorm who always secretly competed with Sam, who suddenly started complimenting him every day. Yes, every day. In fact, whenever he saw Chris, he would praise him. He praised the scent of his shampoo, his clothes, his hairstyle, his kindness to Sam, his pecs, his abs. A small sense of happiness and pride slowly welled up inside him. One day, Henry missed his daily praise session, and Chris felt both disappointed and unhappy. He wanted Henry's gaze to be on him, and only on him. So, when Henry once again praised his abs, he asked, "You want to touch them?" Zayn's story. It's not like he had never seen a naked guy before. That's what Zayn thought after accidentally walking in on a naked Henry. After every practice, the student-athletes would rush into the locker room. When there weren't enough showers, it was common for 2 or 3 guys to squeeze into one stall. They were all guys. What Henry had, he had too, and in better condition even. It wasn't anything new. But when he saw Henry, Zayn's heart skipped a beat, and his throat tightened. He turned his back, pretending to be a gentleman, but he couldn't help but want to look. He wanted to trace every inch of Henry's body. Something was wrong with him. Just a few days ago, he was disgusted by and laughing at Sam for being gay. But the thought of it being Henry seemed not so impossible. What a pity. The wound on Henry's leg had already healed. What other excuse was there to touch him? Julian's story. Julian was not a man of deep emotions, he was quite cold-blooded. He appeared gentle and refined, but in reality, he was decisive, ruthless, and merciless in his actions. But ever since he could remember, a voice in his head had been guiding him to J City University. He didn't know where the voice came from, but if he didn't obey, his head would throb with pain, and even seeing a doctor didn't help. Fine, he'd go and see. He had a university business partnership project there anyway. After the meeting, the headache still hadn't subsided. He was resting in the car when he heard his assistant, Alex, outside, scolding a new assistant for losing a laptop, until Henry appeared. The annoying voice in his head, along with the torturous pain, suddenly vanished. He lifted his eyelids and saw the person standing outside the car. A clean appearance, clear eyes, with an expression that was both innocent and sincere. Julian's heart was suddenly tickled, as if by a feather. Well, that's quite alluring. He suddenly felt that the voice that used to be in his head had a rather pleasant tone to it after all. He was already 31 and not interested in looks. But in that moment, he thought that keeping a little pet didn't seem so bad after all.